have Guitar Will Travel presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine with your host, me, James Patrick Regan, otherwise known as Jimmy from the Deadlies. And today I'm speaking with guitarist Zach Myers from Shinedown. In our conversation, Zach discusses his love for Buck Owens and his Fender Buck Owens signature Telecaster and Acoustic and his PRS that's Buck Owens themed. Zach tells us about his encounters with Brian Venable from Lucero from episode 100, who's also from Memphis. Zach talks a bit about Shinedown's new album, and Zach discusses how he became involved with PRS guitars. Zach tells us about his beginnings in Shinedown, starting on bass and eventually moving to guitar, and his hesitation as he was making a lot of money as the guitar tech for Three Doors Down. Zach walks us through his amp collection, which includes 2 Dumbles. Zach talks about starting on guitar at age 13 and getting a record deal by the age of 14, and then walks us through his early career and the side projects he's working on now. Zach describes the highlights of his guitar collection and the 10 guitars he wished for as a kid, of which he has 9, and he tells about the 1 guitar he's still looking for, and he also tells us about his mom's childhood guitar that he recovered in Louisiana. Zach discusses his relationship with Taylor Guitars and his new relationship with Martin Guitars and the possibility of a Zach Myers signature model. Zach talks about his childhood guitar instructor who's now giving Zach's 6-year-old son guitar lessons, and Zach gives his guitar tech Drew Foppy props and discusses how elaborate his Shinedown rig is and the tunings he's using in Shinedown. Zach also touches on his comedy career called Campfire Astronauts. To find out more about Zach and Shinedown, you can go to their website, shinedown.com. That's SHINEDOWN.com. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, and most of all, review this podcast. I'd really appreciate it. And please support Vintage Guitar Magazine and all the wonderful things they do for us guitar players, because they do so many wonderful things for us guitar players. Here's my buddy Zach.
How's it going?
Good. How are you, Zach?
I'm all right.
Good. Nice to speak with you.
You too. How's everything?
Pretty good.
Where are you at?
I'm in Napa, California, Northern California.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Where are you at right now?
I'm at home in Tennessee right now.
In Memphis?
Yeah.
Do you know Brian Venable?
I do know Brian Venable.
I thought you might.
One of my favorite bands ever, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I used to work at a music store. The only job I've ever had, the only real job I've ever had, I worked at a place called Cat's Music, like a local record store. And Brian Venable was, I think, dating at the time my boss's daughter or something like that. I remember hearing about their band when they were still I don't even know if they had played a show yet.
Okay.
With Lucero anyway.
Yeah. Right on. Hey, how'd you come up with that riff at the beginning of the dance song? That's
actually Eric wrote that riff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's such a cool riff. Eric and I do a lot of guitar trading in the studio, so that was an Eric riff, and it's really cool. There was a band that I'm not saying who influenced him, but there was a band that he got me into that made one record in the UK. These young kids, they were called Dead, DEAD. That was the name of the band. And it sounds like something they would do. So maybe that was the inspiration behind it. But I drink the same tea, by the way, when I'm on tour. Oh, yeah. That's my tour drink that you're drinking right there.
I cut it with actual Lipton tea.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
So what I do is I make a thing at home called Triple Threat that my kids call Triple Threat. It's like if it's like a Yeti cup like this big, it's like 3/4 water, a splash of tea, splash of lemonade. So I cut a lot of things that I drink. But anyway, that was an Eric riff. So I can't take credit for it, but I love playing it. It's super fun.
Yeah.
It was super fun to play on the record. So
yeah, of course. And how do you feel about Buck Owens?
I obviously love Buck. Yeah, I mean, man, there's 200 guitars in here, so it's. I just kind of display kind of what's out and around, and but yeah, I have a PRS that's Buck Owens themed.
Oh, do you really?
That's aptly named Buck, and it's been named Buck since I've had it. I got it in 2011. So yeah, big Buck Owens guy.
Yeah, and you, Fender guitars, even though you're working.
I'm a PRS guy, but Billy sent me these. Thank you, Billy, from Fender, Billy Siegel, and I have these now, and I love them very much. I actually have 2 of each. I have 2 of the Teles and 2 of the.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Right on. That's fantastic. And so when did you start working with PRS?
1997. I met Paul in 1996. I believe that was the Nashville NAMM Red booth. He used to do, in the 90s, he would do themed booths. So you'd go to a PRS booth and all the guitars would be white or all the guitars would be red.
Yeah.
And I think that was the year that all the guitars were red. And actually, for some reason, I'm on a PRS Facebook group and someone just posted a photo of that booth. And I was like, it's the red. I remember that's when I met Paul for the first time. And then I started working with him the next year. Not really being given guitars or anything, but they would give me discounts and stuff.
Sure.
And then when I started like really signed on and they started giving me discounts and stuff was 2004. So 21 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And when did you start working with Shinedown?
2003.
Oh, okay. So right after you started working with Shinedown, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you started as a bass player?
I started, when I first came in, I filled in on bass. And then we were playing in Tampa. I was there for 3 weeks. Brad Stewart, our original bass player, was having a baby, and I filled in. And I'd done that for other bands before, Three Doors Down, Saliva,
really?
and then ended up joining Saliva because of that. And then we were walking around Tampa, Florida, and it was during the day before the last show, and Brent kind of was talking to me, and he's like, you can't leave. And I was like, what? And I was actually a guitar tech for Three Doors Down at that time, making great money. And he was like, you can't leave. And I was like, I have a job. I was like, and you have a bass player. I was like, and I'm not a bass player. Yeah. And he was like, well, what if he's like, the new record is going to have a lot of guitars and a lot of harmonies and no one else can sing. Like, would you want to do it? And I'm like, I'll think about it, but you need to talk to the rest of your band about it. Yeah. And I don't know if to this day he ever did that. I think he might have mentioned it, but when I got there, it certainly didn't feel like it was known that I was going to be there. Yeah. There was a lot of tension for the first couple of years, but and I actually left the band in 2006. Brent called me and I was like, man, I don't feel like I belong here, and like I don't feel like. And so we kind of mutually, he was like, yeah, man. He's like, I think to save the integrity of the band, like where it is now, like maybe we should. And I was fine with that. I was ready to go. And then I was gone for 7 weeks. That was it. I left Shinedown for 7 weeks.
As far as amps in that room, what do you got as far as amps?
As far as amps, I don't know. I got to look.
Okay.
Right behind me is a Fuchs, a very modded Fuchs Clean Machine 150. There's a very, very modded Two-Rock Crystal. There is a Dumble Vibrolux.
Wow.
There's a Dumble Pro Reverb.
Yeah.
There's a PRS Custom 50. There's a John Mayer head. There's two Diesel VH4 or two Diesel Herberts, a Fuchs Mantis, a 70s original high watt, a 70s Vox AC 50, a Marshall of some sort.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
I have to ask you about the Dumbles. So how'd you get those?
I got those from a guitar shop that did not know what they had.
Oh, no way.
Well, there was a problem with one of them. We opened up the chassis, and I saw the black goop all over it. Yeah. And then I saw the signature, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to take that. So I don't own any real, like, Dumbles, but I have, it's like Kenny Wayne Shepherd doesn't own any Dumbles, but he's got 12 Dumble. You know what I mean? It's like none of mine say Dumble on them, but they're all Dumble mods. It's weird that Pro Reverb. You can't see it, it's blocked by a chair, but that Pro Reverb is the best. Like, you could turn that thing on 10 with the bass all the way up, and it will not break up. It is but for some reason, it's like only a clean amp. Like, it does not take pedals well.
Oh, really?
And I got to meet Alex or Howard, however he went by different things at different times, I guess. But and very sweet guy, and the most eccentric human I think I've ever met. And but I mean, I remember Kenny telling me the story, and I don't think he's going to mind me telling it, but he basically said, like, he was talking to him, was like, man, he's like, I want a steel string singer, but all these people are just charging $100,000, $120,000. This is before they were probably $200,000. Yeah. And Howard was like, man, I'll make you one. And he's like, oh, dude. He's like, well, I'll pay whatever. And he's like, let me know. He's like, yeah, $120,000. Kenny was like, what? He goes, dude, everyone else makes this off an amp that I gave them for free or sold them to them for $2,000. Like, why should everyone else make all this money off my amps? And I'm like, he's right. He's 100% right. He sold these things for $1,500 to people in the 70s.
Yeah.
And now they can sell them for $200,000. That was unfair. That was unfair to him too. I agree.
Yeah. But did he pay that much for it?
No, he didn't. No, he never got one. He only got Fender modded ones, but he's got a lot of them.
Yeah. The amps you have, do you know who they were intended for?
I do not. Someone said that Pro Reverb was supposed to be Jackson Brown's, which would be the best thing ever for me because I'm a diehard Jackson Brown fan.
Sure.
But I met Jackson. I did not ask him about it. I should have, but I don't really get nervous around people. I got pretty nervous around Jackson Brown.
So you said you worked in a music store. How early did you start playing guitar?
I got my first guitar on my 12th birthday. I didn't play it. I didn't know you were supposed to put your left hand on it. I didn't know you were supposed to like fret. And then I put it in the closet and I picked it up a week after my 13th birthday. I signed a record deal the day before my 14th birthday.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah. It's the only thing in my life I've ever picked up that came natural. Like I played sports, but it was a lot of work to even get to mediocrity. And music was the only thing that I ever did where I was like, man, this comes so natural and I want to do it. And like, it isn't a grind to practice. You know, my son, my middle son just started guitar, taking lessons from the guy that I started with in the very beginning. And he said on Monday, he said his fingers hurt. And my guitar teacher said, well, your dad used to do the Stevie Ray Vaughan trick. And my son said, what's that? He said, your dad would practice 9 hours a day. And when his fingers started bleeding, he would put super glue on him and put him on his knee, which is true. I did that. And I would just wait till it stuck and then I'd pull the skin off my leg. I still have scars on my leg from doing it.
Damn.
So I was like, I don't want to hear your excuses about your fingers hurting, buddy, for the 30 minutes a day you try to practice guitar.
And were you playing with a band that you got a record deal with, or how'd that work out?
I got a record deal, yes. I started a band called Leisure Highway at 13, in the middle of my being 13. That band lasted about 6 months. I started Zach Myers Band. I got a record deal as a solo guitar player, and then we put together the Zach Myers Band around that.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Right on. And by a major label or independent label, or?
It was, MCA Nashville.
Wow.
Major label.
Right.
Yeah.
And were you living in Nashville at the time or Memphis?
No, I was still here. I've always lived here.
Oh.
I have a place in Wisconsin too, but I'm at Nashville's kind of like a second home. I just always got, when I was a kid, I'd go up there every other weekend, and I'm there. I was just there. I've been there. I feel like I've lived there the last couple months, but. Yeah.
And it's Shinedown. Where do you guys rehearse?
We do most of our rehearsing in Nashville or whatever city the tour's starting in. We'll kind of, if we can rent out the arena that we start in, we'll kind of do that. And but yeah, Nashville's home base. That's where all of our gear is. And
yeah, okay. At that place down by the river, the stores.
No, not at Soundcheck. We actually at our lighting company, Bandit, is where they keep all our stuff.
Cool.
There's a bunch of other like Garth Brooks stuff is there too. Yeah. So
you're still playing on inside projects and stuff like Alan Myers and
yeah, that's really it. I mean, Alan Myers and Moore and Smith and Myers are kind of the only real ones that I do. And that's I don't really have time for. And the Farewell was a cool thing, and we put out a record. I put out a record that was 15 years old 2 years ago during the pandemic, and it went to #1 on the rock chart on iTunes. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I wrote this record when I was 17 years old, so the fact that it did what it did was pretty cool.
Yeah, right on. Right on. You said there's 200 guitars in there. Anything special that I mean, I don't want you to and this is only audio, so nobody's going to see anything. But
okay. There's some things there's a couple things. I'll show you a couple things and say what they are. Then I'll just show you a couple things and not say what they are.
Oh, that's perfect.
Hold on. This is the House on Fire guitar. I have a lot of red 300 ES guitars.
Yeah.
But this is a 65.
It's a 345?
335.
335.
This is a 65 335. And there's other guitars in here I'll show you that most would think would be the House is on Fire guitar. This is the House is on Fire guitar.
Okay. Right on.
I don't even see the flame on it, but it's beautiful. And I got this at Gruen Guitars in Nashville in 2011.
Yeah.
And it's been on. If I've played on someone's record, it's 99% of the time I show up with this and a Telly, and this is this is the one that wins every single time. So
Right on.
this is the house is on fire. I mean, and I've got there's 4 other '60s red ESs over there, and this is for some reason this is the one.
Were you hunting earlier today?
Huh?
Were you hunting earlier today?
I was not hunting earlier today. No, this was the comfortable clothes that I just put on.
Is it freaking cold there in Memphis?
It's like in the 40s right now.
Okay.
It's kind of been fluctuating. This guitar has a great story. Guitar lovers will know who this is, but this is a 70s Stuart L. Mossman acoustic. Jackson Brown. Crosby, Stills and Nash. Everybody played these things back in the day. The story about this is when I started playing guitar, I'm the only musician in my family.
Okay.
But I would see pictures of my mother playing guitar, this acoustic guitar. And I was like, what is that? She was like, my grandfather, who was a barbecue restaurant owner around here, bought her this guitar.
Wow.
And she sold it. I grew up growing up saying I had no money is being very nice. So she sold it just to have money to pay bills and things like that.
Yeah.
And I never knew who she sold it to, but then about 2-3 years ago, I said, do you know who you sold it to? He was like, yeah, your grandmother helped me, your stepdad's mom helped me find a guy to buy it.
Okay.
And I reached out to her and I was like, is this guy still alive? And she's like, I don't know. He would be well into his 80s.
Oh, wow.
And so I called him. I tried to text him first and it went green. Then I realized it was probably a landline. So I called him and he still had the guitar.
Oh, right on.
This is my mom's guitar from the 70s.
Wow.
That I found in Louisiana from old bluegrass guy. So yeah, there's that. What else is there that's cool? There's a lot of cool things in here. When I was younger, I made a list of 10 guitars that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I have 9 of them. This was the hardest one to find.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's Paul Stanley, Ibanez.
No, this is a Jay Younger.
Oh wow!
From,
but is it
White
Ibanez?
Zombie? Yeah.
Okay.
This was a Jay Younger from White Zombie. This was his signature model. Yeah, it took me forever to find it, about 15 years to find one.
Yeah.
Guitar World magazine once called this the worst guitar made. I disagree. I think it's a great guitar.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Does it have a nice wide, thin neck?
Super wide, super thin. Super wide, super thin. And let's see. I'll show this one and not talk about it.
Okay, cool. I'll describe it, hopefully.
This was once Joe Walsh's.
Right on.
So
is it R9?
It is not an R9. It is not an R9. So yeah, this is a cool guitar. I don't really talk about this one much.
But is it real?
It's real.
Oh, right on. It looked like a 59.
Here's one of the newest ones. This is another one that I always wanted when I was a kid.
Oh,
Ace
yeah.
Frehley.
Yeah.
96, I think, Ace Frehley.
With his picture on the headstock?
With his picture on the headstock, because that's what you do.
Yes, of course. Of course.
That's a normal thing. That's a normal you know what? When I was making all my signature models, I was like, you know what I should do? Put my face on it.
So you mentioned there's 10 guitars that you wanted, but you only have 9 of them.
Yeah.
So what's the one you don't have? A and B.
6.
Hold on.
Yep.
I haven't finished the question. And
all right.
Then B, we did the Ibanez. So what are the other 8?
This was one of them.
Okay, the Ace Frehley.
The Ace Frehley. The one I'm missing is a 68 or 69 Paisley Telecaster.
Oh, okay. All right. You
There's
haven't been to Grooms lately, then.
I know. They listen. I found them. They're easy to find.
Sure.
It's just finding the right one.
Yeah.
Let's see. There is a 62 Red 335 that was on that list. That's right over there.
Yeah.
There is a 90s Joe Perry Les Paul, the gray burst.
Yeah. Yep.
That is over there as well. There's a Jimmy Page Les Paul that is over there.
Okay.
There is a Garth Brooks Takamine acoustic.
Right on.
That Garth Brooks gave me. Pretty cool story.
Right on.
There's Buck Owens Telecaster.
Yeah, of course.
There is a Elvis Presley J200.
Oh yeah.
That is also over there.
Yeah.
I believe there's 2 more. There's a 72 black 72 thin line Telly.
Okay.
That's over there. And
with the Seth Lever full range pickups.
Full range pickups, and then there is a where is it? It's in here. Oh, there's a John Lennon Revolution Epiphone Casino, which I have as well.
Wow. Right
yeah.
on.
There you go.
So you like guitars?
I like guitars. The guitars, shoes, and watches are my three vices in life.
And what kind of guitar is your kid playing?
He plays the mini Fender, the Squire, the Jazz. But I set it up for him. We did a new bridge, new nut, new pickups.
Wow! And
he loves it. He loves it, and it's good for him. He's only 6.
Oh,
so yeah, it's good. He's starting way earlier than I did.
Yeah, yes. Who is the teacher you mentioned?
His name is Rick Forbus. And still teaches to this day. He was who I went to when I first started, just to kind of figure out what the guitar was and what strings meant. And it's weird when kids ask me now advice about starting, and I'm like, dude, you have the internet, you have YouTube, you have Ultimate Guitar, you have all these like that stuff didn't exist. I had to listen to cassette tapes, and like figure it out. And so when I couldn't get on, I can get on right now on YouTube and find out what this string is called and what, back then I didn't know anything. So I started going to this guy, Rick Forbus. And, again, still one of my friends to this day, still talk to him. If I'm having an issue trying to like write something or figure something out, like I'll still get on Zoom with him for a second and like, yeah, he teaches my kid, which was a very full circle moment for me to walk in with my son to the same music store that I started going to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So when you're out with Shinedown, what are you playing? I mean, I know you have PRSs and stuff. How elaborate are you guys playing through Kempers or something like that? Or are you using amps?
I use both. Okay. So I do use amps. I used Fryettes for the longest time for my dirty channel. With an analog clock to even warm it up even more. Mm-hmm. And then I use the Fractal for most of my clean, and all the stomps are Fractal. Any expression is a real analog expression. I use a Buddy Guy Wah, the second version of the whammy that we've been using for years and years and years. Ernie Ball Volume. And then none of that stuff's programmed. All that I do all that stuff, and then all the stomps are in the Fractal. But yeah, the main amp source is analog amps.
Yeah, right on that. And how confusing is that? Like, I mean, how elaborate is your?
At this point, I was a guitar tech for a very long time. I don't think I could set up my own rig at this point. I have also one of the greatest guitar techs in the world who every guitar tech looks up to, and it's crazy to see like how celebrated the guy I have is. Like, I'll show up to festivals now, and instead of my friends being like, dude, it's good to see you, they're like, hey man, good to see you. Hey, is Drew around? They're like all automatically looking for my guy. And I'll meet other guitar techs from huge bands that are like, dude, you got the best guy in the world. And I'm like, I'm very aware, and I'm keeping him as long as I can possibly keep him.
His name is Drew what?
Drew Foppy.
Oh, cool.
And he also owns an amp company called Fopstar, and he's a big Instagram guy. He'll show a lot of stuff, like a lot of techs how to do things on Instagram too.
Oh, right on. That's cool. Yeah. And the PRSs you got, are they 7 strings or are they all 6 strings?
No, 6 strings. We are not that heavy enough to play. I don't even play baritones. Yeah. Most of our tuning is mostly standard.
Is it really?
Yeah, on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And I've got some weird ones. Like I have one that's standard, and then the B string's a half step down. Devil's just standard drop D, but everything's 10 cents flat.
Oh,
so
wow.
You kind of hit it so hard.
Yeah.
A little Eddie Van Halen trick. And and there's a couple, like I think the lowest we go C sharp.
Okay.
Like a song like Enemies is C sharp, and then like a song like Monsters is a whole step down standard, so standard D. But yeah, we don't do crazy low like A sharp, and that's not really this. I think this whole record is in standard actually. The one we're working on now.
Okay, cool. Yeah. When you go out on the road, like are you like going guitar shopping and stuff like that on your day? Yeah. All right.
All the time.
You know all the guitar shops in every town?
No, but Joe Bonamassa does, so I just text him.
All right.
I text Joe all the time and go, hey, I'm in Grand Rapids. Where do I go? And he's, Joe will be like, oh, it's this guy Dale's house. And I'm like, I'm not going to Dale's house, dude. Like, I'm not you. I'm not going to show up and like everyone, they're just going to start pulling out all the great stuff because they know he's coming in and he's going to spend all the money. So, but yeah, I've texted Joe, probably 20 times.
Oh, wow.
Hey, I'm in this city.
Yeah. Do you ever go to guitar shows like, Mesquite and all that stuff?
You know what? The last guitar show I went to was a Dallas guitar show, which I grew up going to. I would play there when I was younger. I haven't gone to a lot. I haven't even been to a NAMM in, it's been 7 years now, which I love because my feet don't hurt for the whole weekend. But
and you don't get sick.
Yeah, I don't get sick. Yeah, but I do like guitar shows. I don't make it to as many of them as I should, but that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
My wife would probably not enjoy me going to guitar shows.
And what do you do for fun when you're not playing guitar?
I go fishing about 150 yards that way.
Okay.
I play with my kids.
Yeah.
I love basketball, so I'm a diehard Memphis Grizzlies fan, so I go to a lot of Grizzlies games. I was at one last night. Yeah, man, I'm just a dad. I go to my kids' basketball games. I go to soccer games. I go fishing every day.
Right on. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right on. And Taylor, when did you start your relationship with Taylor?
It started in 2004, but I recently ended it. So I'm now a Martin.
Are you really?
Now a Martin. Oh yeah, there's 15 Martins in here right now. Actually the one over here, the gray, that's the new John Mayer.
Yeah.
There, that's the John Mayer, and then next to that is a CEO9 and a shade top D41.
Are they going to make you a model?
Yeah. There may be I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah.
There have been several conversations, maybe even some design stages.
Wow.
And
right.
I'll just leave. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have a favorite? I mean, you have the John Mayer. Do you have a favorite model?
Man, I'm a huge J40 guy. I love a J40, and honestly, D41, J40 are my two go-tos.
Okay. All right.
And I love the OM. I've got a 59 D18 over here.
Yeah.
I got a couple D18s. I probably have more D18s than I have anything else. And I've got Brooks Legertwood, I believe is the name, and I have a couple signatures. Yeah, but I think for me, when I pick up a guitar around here, it's usually the J40 or the D41.
Okay. And have you seen the Marty Stewart model?
I have seen the Marty Stewart. I'm a Marty Stewart guy, though. I'm from Tennessee. So.
I love Marty Stewart.
Yeah. I want a John Prine model. They did a John Prine model for a while. They're all nearly impossible to find.
Yeah. The reason I like the Marty Stewart model, other than the fact it has the forward bracing and it's just boomy as all hell, it's the inlays on the neck. So it's got all the nudie stuff from Hank's suit.
It's very in depth as far as the inlay goes. That's the thing. That's what makes those things expensive too.
Yeah. All right, sir. I don't want to take too much more of your time. I really appreciate.
Oh no, you're fine.
I appreciate you. Showing me all your stuff, all your toys.
Yeah. One day we'll do an in-depth one where I show. There's 200 guitars in here. So
yeah. Well, I need to video it if we're going to do that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in here that are pretty cool.
Yeah. And so you have a tour that's starting here pretty soon. Correct.
Yeah, April 25th we start, and it goes. I mean, we have a couple breaks in there, but realistically, it goes till September 1st.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
A long tour, and so it's not Weekend Warriors. It's like
no. When we tour, we tour. I'm at the age now, and I've been doing this long enough now, where I certainly would like to entertain that conversation, where we just do Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
But our crew guys have been here for a very long time, and our monitor guy rides the band bus, and he's literally the fifth band member. Like we've had the same monitor engineer for 17 years. I will not do a show without him.
Okay.
So he lives in Pennsylvania, and our front of house guy lives in Tampa. And we don't there's like two guys who live in Nashville.
Yeah.
How those country bands do that is everyone lives in Nashville. So it's like they go to Walmart at 3:00 on Thursday morning and get on the bus and show up at the show. So we can't do that. We'd have to fly literally everyone in.
Yeah.
So
do you guys do in-ears or are you doing floor mounts?
Yeah.
In-ears.
All in-ears. Yeah.
I
have wedges.
Yeah.
I have wedges on the floor just because most of our stages now are very clean. So I can't hear my cabinets. My cabinets are there, but I can't hear them. So I'll do wedges. Our stage is graded, so I can mount wedges under the stage. So I can, and it just has guitar in it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And you're touring with Bush, Barrett, and Morgan Wade.
The first leg is Beartooth is main support, and then Morgan Wade, and then the second is Bush and Morgan Wade.
Okay, cool. And you have a comedy career too.
I don't know if I would call it a career. But yeah, I have a comedy project that I do with my friend Chris Porter, who is an amazing stand-up comedian, and that's actually his real job. And also a great musician. And that's kind of how it started. Is we would hang out and we would go to the Comedy Store and we'd hang out in LA and we'd do all these things. And he'd be like, man, you should try to do this, because like I would try to write jokes and things like that for, he's like, you should really try this. I think you'd be good at it. And I was like, yeah, man, you should sing in front of people because you're really good at it. And that's kind of how it started, as a joke. And then we had this name Campfire Astronauts, and that's what we started. But it goes great when we do it. All the shows sell out. It's been a lot of fun. I will say, doing that job is absolutely terrifying. Like, people think being in a band's hard, going on stage in front of people, but like there's my guitar playing one right there. It looks like me at that age, actually. But being a comedian is definitely, yeah. I just said your name. That's all. And being a comedian has to be the hardest job ever, because like you go up there with a mic, like that's it. Like I can hide behind a loud guitar and missing a bad note by running around and doing something stupid. Like when it's just you and a mic, that's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. So I give it up to stand-up comedians because they have the hardest job for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's, especially if it's just them and a mic and their voice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and are you actively managing bands right now?
No, that was a fluke, flash in the pan thing. I was doing it to help another band out, which that band's doing great now. And but yeah, I can't. I don't have the time.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I got 3 kids. I gotta focus on that.
Right on. Well, once again, Zach, it's been wonderful talking to you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I'll reach out. Maybe when you're in the Northern California area, maybe I could do something with, just going through your rig.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Have Guitar Will Travel. You can catch up on all the things I'm doing at thedeadlies.com. And I'm on all the social media platforms as well. And please support Vintage Guitar and all the wonderful things they do, because they do many, many wonderful things for us guitar players. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.